Saint Jacobson. Yeah, Saint Jacobson. Besides the obvious things like regular exercise, eating healthy, practicing good sleep habits, what do you or have you done, if anything, for mental health? Everyone has peaks and high stress events throughout life, and some have intrinsically high stress jobs every day. What do you or who do you talk to when your mindset goes to a dark place? I don't talk to anybody. I don't go to counseling. I think that you need to stop allowing yourself to be a fucking weak little bitch. Like that's the shitty answer. I know that sounds terrible. That's the real fucking answer. I had a federal search warrant served at my shop. I had fucking 15 different law enforcement agencies at my shop. 6 hours later, they unhandcuffed me and took off. And I'm in limbo, right? I'm watching my shit on CNN for 3 fucking days. In the middle of the night, they used to just play 30-minute loops. CNN, I'm on CNN. They're showing my shit, stolen machine guns, explosives, all this stuff, right? Federal agent poses with 42 stolen machine guns. I'm watching this on television. I'm not arrested. The feds came in and literally explosive breached multiple locations, flashbangs, fucking SWAT team raid, right? Laying on the floor with machine guns pointed at our heads. And then they left. I know they're coming back, but I'm in limbo for 2 fucking weeks, right? And then when I finally go to court, I'm out on bail for 24 months. I knew I had to go to prison. I knew that. I didn't know how long for. They're telling me 13 years. I just continued making money and continued doing business, right? I don't think people really have an idea of what fucking stress is. I just continued to build and build and build. And then I went to prison. And when I came home from prison, I had 0, right? I came home to a halfway house and I was immediately served with divorce papers and a restraining order. So now I've been in prison for 22 months and I'm not allowed to go back to any of the shit that I own or I have built or any of my income, my family, none of that shit, right? I'm in a halfway house. The only way to get out of the halfway house is to have a job, and I've just been served papers that I can't go back to my job. And if any bullshit happens, I go back to prison. So I went and got a job. The very next day, I got somebody to give me a delivery job. I didn't even have, when you go to prison, all your shit gets sent home to your family. So my wife, my ex-wife, has all of my driver's license, anything that says who I am, my social security card. I'm just a dude, literally, with clothes and nothing in his pockets, and have to convince somebody to give me a job. By the end of that week, I had 3 jobs working 80 hours a week. And then I started calling my vendors. That's why I did delivery jobs. I had done them in the past, and I was able to get pizza jobs, and I knew I could use the telephone while I was doing pizza, right? Doing the job. And I could listen to, music back then. Podcasts didn't exist when I came home. When I went to prison, there was no such thing as texting. When I came home from prison, there was texting. But it was still, you had to push each button 4 or 5 times, and it was a little flip phone, right? That's all that existed. Smartphones weren't there. But within 1 week, I got somebody to give me 80 hours worth of work, and then I started my business. And that first year, I did $960,000 in business while on probation for 3 years, while working 80 hours doing pizza. I made $960,000 additional dollars out of my mom's garage with just myself, just me. And then eventually there was another person and a couple of other people, but not that first year. There wasn't. I don't understand people with the stress. If you have time to be stressed, then you have time to fucking move, and you have time to work, and you have time. If you are fucking busy, how the fuck can you be stressed? Like, I don't know your situation, and you are getting the answer that I would give the fucking general public. But I am of the belief that 90% of the general public is the bare minimum, the absolute bare minimum. And I think that the biggest thing is to get yourself away from minimum people. Get around better people. I saw a video yesterday. I've seen it a few times. If you want to meet very influential and high performance people, go to the bar in 5-star hotels, because 5-star hotels are very expensive to stay at. The drinks are way overpriced. But if you go in there and you order a drink and you slip the bartender a $100 tip, he will remember you and you're going to have a conversation with bartenders, and they're going to introduce you to people and tell you what they do. And this dude's like, man, I met a dude who has 25 Airbnbs. We hang out every time I'm in Austin. I don't ever pay for an Airbnb. I met this guy at the 5-star hotel. You have to go where there's better people and remove the access, remove shitty people's access to you. I know that's not the answer you're looking for. I've never taken any psych meds. My extent to painkillers that I take for aches and pains is Tylenol and ibuprofen. Tylenol PM right before I go to sleep helps me sleep, but I never take the dose, which is 2. That's what they recommend. I only take 1. If I take 2, I sleep too long. I am excited to get up in the morning. I am not excited to go to bed. But if I'm not tired at night, I didn't physically exert myself enough. I just don't understand the problem. And I know that some of them are real. I am of the belief that most of them are not real, though.
I think somewhere along the way, it became popular to have been diagnosed with something.
Yes.
And like, you know, when I was like in high school, around that time, it was ADD. Everybody's like, oh, my ADD is acting up. Oh, I have ADD. That kind of stuff. No, but like people do have ADD, but not every single person. And then it became depression, and then now it's what did he say? Not nervous, stress. Everybody's stressed and panicked about stuff.
Buddy, you don't know what, like, and I say this as a generality, you don't know what fucking stress is. Like you, and maybe you do. I know when I say these things, there's always one dude, right? I said something the other morning, like, I don't even remember what I said, and dude's like, but I woke up in the hospital. Okay, well then clearly I'm not fucking talking to you.
Yeah.
Clearly you have some problems that don't fit in this. But it's like the, I can't start my business because I'm scared of failure. You're the same motherfucker that's on the internet crying and making a post crying, and now you're addicted to the likes. It's just like using titties in a thumbnail or any of these prepper channels that are like, oh my God, the end is near. Oh my God, this is the worst one, yes. Oh my God, you're not going to believe this. They are addicted to that. Once you fucking use cleavage in your thumbnails, your algorithm goes up and you get all these comments, you can never go back from that. It's like using drugs the first time. You're always going to chase that high. And I think that is a lot of people get attention. They have no attention in their life because they're not doing anything that warrants or merits attention. And then they fucking cry or they do this vulnerable shit and then they get attention. So now they are addicted, and the only way to get the attention is to do more of the fucking shit that's just bringing you down. If you're not sure about something, if you're go to the fucking gym. I can't afford the gym. Go run. Go do push-ups. Physical movement fixes mental problems. I know there's dudes that'll tell you other things. That's not me. HDC Crossbones, what's up, man? What does the compound look like in 5 years? Building, agriculture, livestock. What does it look like? Well, I hope it looks like this, but a lot more green. I hope there's a lot more fucking expensive cars parked outside. I hope there's a fucking underground basement that's bigger than the building. I hope there's fucking 5 more buildings and we've bought all the property around us. I hope society's great. I hope everybody's making money. If things go bad, I hope there's weeds growing out there in the roadway, and I hope that there's wagon tracks, right? I hope that's what I hope. I don't know the real answer to that.
I think he was talking about like so.
No, I know what he's talking about.
I was say like with you just got sheep, and you've been talking about that. For
I know. I just don't have time to play games. Like, and he's not. I mean, I know who he is.
Yeah.
But I'm of a different mindset, man. I am really, really focused on getting shit done, putting shit in motion, and then doing more of that. Like, a couple hours ago, I'm inside. I'm like, okay, it's as soon as everybody leaves at 6 o'clock, I'm gonna go outside for 3 hours, and I'm just gonna pick up all the shit around here, so I don't have to do it in a couple of weeks before SRF gets here. I'm starting to think about Self-Reliance Festival, all my shit that's around here. I probably need to take all those protein buckets that we haven't planted out and put them someplace so they're not in the way, right? That's what I'm thinking about. What will it look like in 5 years? I don't have a fucking clue. We're about to plant 48 so trees in a few weeks here. So in 5 years, hopefully those are all big and under canopy and they're growing tons of fruit. In 5 years, these 2 white dogs that are here won't be here, and we will have other dogs here. I don't know. I'm not really thinking about it, man. I am thinking about fucking 1 week, 2 week. I'm not thinking 5 year. I just never am. I'm not thinking. I do shit all the time that a money manager would fucking cringe over. I do things all the time that people can't do in life, right? They just, because they won't. They would be stressed over the... When I want to go buy something, I just go buy it, whether I have the money for it or not. If you see me building new shit, it's because I'm about to do something, or I did something I probably shouldn't have done, and now I have to make payroll or whatever, right? My people have never not been paid. I have never had a check fucking bounce. Bills are paid. But there's a lot of times through the year where my bank account's at zero or even fucking negative. Shit just happens. And I have always had the ability to just create money. And then when I can't, I guess that's when society will have collapsed or something will happen. But I promise you, I'll still be doing something. That's this. I'm not going to fail. You're never going to see me out on the internet asking for help because I did something that I shouldn't have done. It's never going to happen. I'm going to do it, and then years later, I'm going to tell you about it. I have stories that haven't been told that if it was most people's lives, they would have just laid down and died. They would have just fucking committed suicide. I see people killing themselves all the time over stuff that doesn't even make any fucking difference. So I don't get it, man. I don't understand it. But what does the compound look like? Agriculture, livestock, buildings? I don't know, man. I got a 5,000 foot building kit sitting out there right now. Just needs to be erected. The building as it sits right now, the footprint's 10,000 square feet. So we're going to add 50% onto the front of this building right now. It'll be carport 32 feet out, 35 feet out. This building is actually taller than the building going in. So this roof line will come down and tie into the other roof line. Big commercial gutters. We'll put roll-up doors on the front of those for parking. It's all going full slab concrete. And then eventually we'll just cut portals or doors through where we can go from the inside to there. But we're adding 5. I already have it. It's sitting in front of the building. We bought it probably a year ago. Paid cash for it, $73,000 for the building kit, the addition. That kit right now is about $150,000. The kit we bought is way higher grade commercial than even the building that exists right here now. So I don't know. I'm just not focused on it. I don't know.
I think that kind of goes along with what we were talking about the other day. If you want to make $1 million a year, you need to make $3,000 a day. We're worried about the 3,000, not the million.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I also believe that if you want to make $1 million a year, you need to shoot for 5 million because you're always going to fall short.
Yeah.
I'm not out there with it, and I mean, I have things I want to do. I'm just not publicly speaking about them, right? I think you should have a vision board. If you don't know what that is, you should look into what a vision board is. I think a lot of that's very personal. I'm just not having those conversations with the internet. What's your favorite oddity that you own? This is from My Cheese Wheel. Is there an oddity that you want but haven't been able to find? And does Amanda enjoy them as much as you? Thanks for the good information on the last members only. An oddity that I want. So Amanda and I had this conversation last night before. Let me see if I can get her to come out here.
I've actually been trying to find stuff like that online, and I've come up with like a few places where you can get some documented historical antiques.
They are ridiculously expensive.
They are, but I can't find anything that's like an oddity. Like I was trying to find like torture devices or stuff like that.
It's because most people don't buy them, so they don't go to where most of the typical antiques are.
Yeah.
And most of your torture stuff, like your real stuff, it's in museums and shit.
Yeah, like I know like I'm not going to be able to get anything too, crazy, but I want something that's real, that is odd, I don't have anything in mind, I was like browsing type thing.
You can get some reproductions.
That's what I don't want. I want something real.
You can't afford it.
Well, like I don't want, like I don't even know what I want, but I know that I'm not. I was hoping to find something that was cheap, Yeah,
this doesn't exist. You can't afford it. I can't afford it. Mm-hmm. You could, but you'd have to sell your house to get it. Right?
Yeah,
all those things are. It's just like art. Like Bet David did a thing on art the other day.
Yeah, I watched it. That's what got me into it.
Yeah,
I was looking, and he was talking about Picasso. I've always thought before he died, he was famous, and he said
take a photo. When did Picasso die?
I don't know, but
did we even have photography when Picasso was alive?
In the 40s, maybe. So like it was
40s of what year?
1940s.
I don't think so, man. I
think
Picasso. Yeah, I think Picasso was like hundreds of years ago.
Let me see.
I could completely be wrong. I think of Picasso with Michelangelo.
I don't think that's it. Let me see.
And the reason those things, so the real shit has been owned by famous people, and every time a famous person sells it, the value goes up because the other famous person owned it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So he was famous before he died, which isn't 1973.
Wow.
I was off too, but I was off in the wrong direction.
So I was born in 71. I had no idea. I thought Picasso was way older than that.
He would trade. He was an alcoholic, so he would go to the bar and like rack up a tab and be like, here, and draw on a napkin and be like, now you have a Picasso. And those are out there for not. I mean, they used to not be very expensive, like $5,000, something like that.
You can buy a lot of like serial killer shit.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that out there you can own. You can
yeah,
own
I mean
John Wayne Gacy's paintings and shit. There's a bunch of those. I see those for sale.
I think the guy in L.A. Manson. I think he was like writing letters and sending pictures.
He was.
Stuff.
There's a ton of Manson shit. I see it go for sale all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have all they have all the marks on them and stuff from the prison and shit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But that's what got me into it was that video, because he was talking about somebody bought this for like $10,000 and then it was 200 million and stuff like that. Yeah. Got me interested in it.
So a lot of that stuff, like the medieval torture stuff, a lot of those castles were sacked, right? So they set open air. There was no weather, everything was exposed. It was made of iron, it rusted away, or it was just repurposed for other things.
Yeah.
And that's...
So there's not that much left.
Yeah, it just doesn't exist. And the things that do exist, there's a death museum of death.
Is that in Vegas?
No, it's there might be one in Vegas, but there's one in San Diego in the gas lamp district, and they have a bunch of stuff in there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I know, like, it's harder to find in America anyways because it would have to have been imported.
Well, a friend like we were doing crazy shit even in the United States. A friend of mine worked at a very, very famous prison, and he was exploring the prison. It was closed down, but their offices were on the prison campus, right? They call it campus. And he's like, I see this little building, and I get some cutters and I cut the lock, and the lock on it's like 80 years old, like a super old lock. He's like, so I just pop it off, and it's this little building, but as soon as you go in, there's a stairwell that goes down into the ground, and you're in this huge area. And he's like, it was an underground gallows. There were all these fucking prison cells, but they were literally like just cages. There were these just fucking cages where they kept people, and there was a fucking hangman gallows underground. And you just like, so I mean, we did shit, but we didn't really put it out there. It's not really as known, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I got some questions here that I haven't read yet, but I know you and I had spoken about this one the other night. My Cheese Will asked, what's your favorite oddity that you own? Is there an oddity that you want but haven't been able to find? And doesn't Amanda enjoy them as much as you? Thanks for the good information, last members. What do you think my favorite oddity is?
I think your favorite oddities are probably the giraffes.
Yeah. I have some walrus tusks and a walrus mandible that's really... I have a lot of really, really cool shit. There's a lot of stuff that our grandparents were allowed to have that was just here, right? It just came in on ships and stuff. And what happens is, as these old guys die, especially like in the slave ports and stuff, where Alabama and happens is you have all these families that had all this money, and then grandpa dies, great grandpa dies, whatever, it sits, and then the next generation inherits it, and a lot of times they do nothing with it, so the following generation gets it, and the first thing they want to do is sell the property, so they liquidate the contents. Well, you have all these contents that have been in these houses. For instance, lions, right? Lion was no big deal. You could buy taxidermied lions and mounts and all this stuff until Obama passed the Lacey Act. And now all of a sudden you can't move lions, tigers, even though they've been dead for 100, 200 years, even though your grandfather went to India and hunted this lion, you can't move it across state lines. Now, if you own it and you move, it's now in the other state, right? But there's all kinds of bullshit. And that's the same thing with like the Marine Mammals Act. That's the same thing with like elephants, right? Bunch of people's grandparents went over and hunted elephants. You can hunt elephant right now if you can afford it. The problem is when it comes into the United States, it can't move state lines. There's a huge thing with ivory, right? So everybody wants to take all this ivory that's already in the United States, and all these fucking eco people, all these Greenpeace hippies, they want to burn it. They want to take it so that you can no longer have it either, and that's what happens with a lot of this stuff. Yeah, the giraffes are super cool. What's your favorite piece?
I think my favorite piece is probably the witch.
The witch.
Yeah.
We have a piece that is said to be from Salem, and it is a burning witch. It went up to auction. A friend of mine, I bought enough weird shit that I got the attention of guys that went to auctions and actually ran high-end antique businesses. And he had told me about these several times, and they were going up to auction, and it was a pair of these things, and they sat on top of the chimney. And they had been cut off of these chimneys as these older houses and stuff had fallen down, and it's said to be from Salem. And it is a carved wooden piece. A lot of people see it and they think it's a ship's masthead, but it's too small to be. The iron spikes are in there where they cut it off and everything. And it's a witch that's on fire. They believed that witches turned into smoke or vapor to get through the chimney and would come in and then rematerialize. And this was a talisman of a burning witch to scare them from coming down the chimneys. And we have one of these. And when it came into the building, a lot of weird shit started happening. And I've told this story a lot. I'm sure you guys listening already know this. It went out of the building. A friend of mine, Carrie, took it to his place a few hours from here. And his family has a registered historic site. And in the basement were shackles and stuff from slaves there. And it said that there's a bunch of unmarked burial sites on the property. And there are ghosts at his house also. He made this cradle and this harness to display this thing, and when it came back here, none of the weird shit was happening when it came back here, and that's what she's talking about. I think that is one of the coolest pieces. And then and in 5 minutes when we turn this off, I'll think of 100 other things also. We have a lot of stuff that we have just put away, right? We literally have so much that to even be able to see it, the first thing people say when we take them upstairs, they're like, I don't even know what to look at. That's what they say. Like, there's just so much. So we've taken away a lot of the smaller things so that there's less and more significant things. Like when we go to antique places and we go buy stuff, she's like, you should buy that. I go, there's not two of them, right? It's looking left. I want one looking left, right. But I usually only buy larger things now. I have so much small stuff. I have no means to display it. I have so much shit put away. I'll be looking for something. I'm like, I forgot I even had this. Like in my office, I don't go in my office but maybe once or twice a year. Like we put a bunch of stuff in there that was like true stuff that I didn't want to, like, couldn't be knocked over, or stuff that's just kind of delicate. And I'll go in there and I'm like, man, I need to come in here more often. And I just never go there. I just have no reason to go in there. And we have several rooms like that.
Do I enjoy the oddities as much? Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
When I'd asked you that, you said you thought you enjoyed them actually more.
I do. I think I enjoy them more. I'm definitely more into the history of things. I definitely look for things that have a story more than inherent value. I'm definitely more interested in where they came from, who owned them, what they meant to those people, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have anything that you're looking for? Or it's just what you see if
the next weird thing.
Yeah. So you're not like, you saw this in a book somewhere one time and you hope to find it someday?
No.
I like the hunt. I like the chase. Right?
Yeah.
So when you go to antique, like, where do you find this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Antique stores, that's pretty much where it kind of ends up.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But we're to the point now, without driving 6 hours in it, we've hit every antique store.
Mm-hmm.
And then anytime we go to a new antique store, we buy the shit we want. Yeah. And we'll go back in a few years and
it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same shit.
That happened when we were in Paris. I drove past one and I was like, "Oh, I should tell them they're here." And I'm like, "They've been here." Like,
we have. Yeah. We still, when we go eat on Sunday or Saturday, because that's when the only antique stores open on Sundays.
Oh, is it?
So when we're over there, Butler's Antique Mall over there, we go in there. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's I know that you guys go all over the place, so there's nothing that I
bought
can find
something there the other day. I don't remember what it was, but it's like we've been there at the last 20 times we've been there. We probably haven't bought anything.
Yeah.
Because I used to buy just because I wanted to buy something, right? I wanted something, but we have so much of it. And then I'll buy true things, and I'll have this picture of how we're going to display them, right? I have 3 hippopotamus skulls.
Yeah.
And I saw Darwin and Wallace. They sell really cool oddities and stuff. They're online. You can check. They got a good Instagram page. We see them at some of the expos and stuff, the oddities expos. And they had a hippopotamus cap, or they had a giraffe skull. Mm-hmm. and they had taken this wood base and they took copper tubes and they cut them and affixed them in there so that it met all the contact points on the skull. But it was cool because it's a giraffe skull and it's sitting on this cool like steampunk thing. Like a lot of times to display stuff properly, especially in like the oddities groups and stuff, it's you pay more on the display and displaying it than the actual item cost. And that's
even like frames for fine art and stuff is very expensive.
And then you have to have proper lighting and all kinds of shit.
And
then
somebody to dust it.
And if you have the wrong lighting, it's going to destroy it. Like, yeah. If you look at the wall upstairs, like that pallet wall I built, there's a lot of cool shit on that pallet wall.
Yeah.
And then I did the black pipe, and then I used more of the pallet and stained them for the shelving and stuff. But there's a lot of like cool stuff. When I go in there, like when we were recording in there, I'm looking around and I'm like, fuck, I forgot that was even here.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's always very impressed, and I think that you need to go in there multiple times, and you always see something
I still
new.
See stuff. I'm like, I forgot I had that.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's the hit it, quit it, on to the next thing. I'm constantly on the hunt and the chase. So I get these things, and I have these plans to display them, but who am I kidding? I'm not going to stand there. I'm not going to sit. I just don't fucking sit there. I literally run until I get in bed, and then when I'm in bed, I'm replying to emails, I'm downloading video stuff, and then at 12, last night it was 12:30 when I finally turned the light off and went to sleep. So I don't sit down. Like, I'm not going to be in front of a television. I mean, what's that show you've been watching?
Mother of Dragons.
Mother of Dragons, right? I liked the Lord of the, what was that show called?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, right? Lord of the Rings, whatever. I watched that. I was very into that for a little while. I'm really not interested in this fucking new one though, right? So I make sure that I'm there when it's on. We watch it. I kind of pay attention, but I've got a laptop in my lap. I've got a phone beside me, and I've got 2 cameras that I'm downloading shit from. So while I'm doing that with her, I am kind of watching it. I could tell you a little bit about the show. So it's something we do together, but I'm still doing other shit. I mean, it used to be when we go to a movie theater, I'd take a laptop to the movie theater with me. We'd go in, 45 minutes early to get a good seat that we wanted before you pre-bought all your seats. And I would take a laptop and do emails, right? For the longest time, like, social media wasn't ever on my phone. I never had an app for Facebook on my phone. I did it off of a laptop and a router. Yeah. And I've just always done that.
That happened to me when Narcos came out. I always thought that I watched a lot of TV, and then Narcos came out, and it was in Spanish, and I kind of know Spanish, but not enough, so you have to read.
Yeah. If I gotta read it, I'm never happy. It's not happening.
I would watch whole episodes and not realize that I didn't know what happened because I was on my computer working instead of looking at the screen. You know.
Yeah. Like, we went to dinner last night. We drove to Jackson, and it took me literally the entire drive to make that Instagram or that TikTok post, and then to get it to share. Like, the internet was just shit. Yeah. And it's been getting worse and worse and worse. We just got Starlink, which is out front now. I saw it, yeah. So we're still need more bullshit to make that thing work properly throughout the building.
It gives me 120 megabytes per second standing right next to it. Yeah. So if I can, once we get the mesh network, it's going to go through the whole building. It'll be blazing hot.
Yeah, we'll put them front and back also, so it'll be outside also.
Yeah, that's nice.
We should be able to hit it from in here.
I think so. I saw where it was.
I'm talking about realest, one of the realest to try. My family